Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. I'm your host, Rick the Barkeep, bringing you podcast 105 here at the Tavern, presented by Hirotaku.com. Well, patrons, we are about less than a month away from both the premiere of Power Rangers Dino Charge and Shuriken Sentai Ninninger. And in recent weeks, a lot of people have been asking me to really talk about these shows and kind of give my impressions on what's going to be happening in both these programs. And the thing is, at this point for both shows, since they've yet to premiere, and all we're getting is, some clips, some promos, and magazine scans, it's really hard to go ahead and talk about either show in a lot of detail outside of the aesthetics. Now, for Dino Charge, we got character bios, and we're given a plot to the series, and all that good stuff, so it's a little bit easier to talk about Dino Charge, but it's frankly rather difficult to talk about Ninninger, since really we don't know what the plot is. All we've seen is, the suits and the Zords and the actors themselves, and people have asked me a comment, what do you think of the actors? I'm like, I don't know anything about these actors. I mean, are they nobodies? Are they somebodies? And frankly, I don't really care about the actors themselves. I mean, unless Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were going to be in Ninninger, I really don't have anything to say about the acting until I actually see it. So, Ninninger itself is really kind of an anomaly. It's like, what does it really say? I mean, yeah, you can say, they look pretty as actors and stuff, and the suits look really cool and all that, but beyond that, there's really nothing of substance to really talk about, and I don't want to go ahead and bore you guys with a lot of speculation, things like that, especially if I'm just going to sit here and say, I think Momo Ranger is the cutest and all that. I mean, that's not really going to help you guys with a true evaluation of the series, or is really worthwhile listening to. And the same is true for Dino Charge, because, I think we've talked enough about Dino Charge in the past, and really we just gotta wait for both shows to come out to really talk about them in depth and detail. However, I do think there is a conversation to be had here based on the Ninninger mecha, or Zords, as you were. And I'm going to actually call them Zords because I've been calling things Zords for over 20 years. It's just easier for me, so I apologize for purists out there, but I am going to go ahead and refer to them as Zords here. That of course being said, I think there's a lot we can really talk about the Ninninger Zords that gives us a clue into, I think, what the series is going to go ahead and do with a couple of elements, things that I like, things that I don't like, and things that really just go ahead and confuse me altogether. So today we are going to go ahead and talk about the Ninninger Zords, give you guys kind of a rundown of what we know right now, and most likely what's going to go ahead and play into the series. Now, what you're seeing on your screen right now is the best screenshot that I found for the primary Megazord of the series. And what you see here in the middle are the 5 Zords that each Ranger is going to go ahead and have. Now, I find these Zords very curious because here's the thing. And I'm going to count maybe Jetman on up right here, but for the most part, even all the way back to Liveman, usually when we have Zords that belong to each individual Ranger, their motif is the same. Take Zoo Ranger, for example. All the Zords there were prehistoric animals. Tyrannosaurus, Mammoth, Sabretooth, all that. You get the point there. We get to, Gala Ranger Wild Force. All the Zords there are animals of some sort. Okay, there's a theme that's present throughout all these Zord teams, and there are a few exceptions here and there. Things that don't belong too well don't always flow together. But when we get to Ninninger, what first of all strikes me as really odd is their choice for Zords. We have, for the Red Ranger, a ninja, or a humanoid robot. For the Blue Ranger, we have a dragon. For the Yellow Ranger, we have a dump truck. For the White Ranger, a dog. And for the Pink Ranger, a train. Now, I don't understand the rhythm of this. I don't understand what makes these Zords gel as a single unit. I mean, because look at it right there, we have 2 vehicles, 2 animals, one of which is mythical, and a ninja robot. I'm not seeing the connection here. I mean, again, we normally have teams of all animals, or if they're humanoid robots, they have all humanoid robots, or if they are all vehicles, they're all vehicles. But why this combination? I just don't get it. I mean, okay, so they are playing off ninjas, so I can understand Red Ranger's Zord. That it's a ninja, it runs stereotypically like a ninja, it can do flips and all that, and I'm going to assume it probably has swords or some sort of ninja weapon attached to it. So I get that. But why don't the others have all ninja robots? Why are they so different from each other? And also, looking at the Blue Ranger right here, consider what we had with Dragon Mechs, Dragon Zords in the past. Typically, we would have that Chinese, Asian, Oriental dragon, if you will. Look at the Red Dragon Thunder Zord. That's more of, the giant serpent kind of Zord in there. And, even with Dragon Caesar Dragon Zord, it's like Godzilla with samurai armor. The point I'm getting at is that those dragons typically do have some sort of Asian theme to that. But, of course, when we get to Magi Ranger, the dragon is more of a European dragon, and that it has wings, and that's what causes it to fly, other than Asian dragons, which is magic, is what causes it to fly. So what confuses me about the dragon here is it does look like a European dragon. Particularly, it's on its hind legs, has claws, has the wings, all that kind of stuff. Not like, your typical Eastern dragon. So for a show that is based on ninjas, which in turn is based off Japanese culture, history, and presumably mythology, it would be odd that you would go and have a European-style dragon over an Asian dragon. So I don't particularly get that. Again, when they did Magi Ranger, it made sense in the context of that show because of what they were trying to do in invoking, Western magic and the Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings, all that kind of stuff. Because you watch, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and all that. That's the kind of dragons that you have, those European dragons. But again, for a show that's based on Asian culture, and something that's exclusive to Japan, which is the ninja, then I don't know why this style of dragon is being utilized. Then we have a dog, and I'm like, okay, it's a dog, it's not a wolf, which, to be honest, I'm going to go out and say, why are they giving one of the girls a dog? Why isn't the dog a wolf or more of a fierce beast? I don't know what that particularly says, and yes, I know Go On Black was a German Shepherd, but that fit into the police motif that they were trying to give with that character, plus to tie in with his background. So, maybe this dog ties in with her somehow, maybe she trains animals or whatever, but it just seems like a pretty weak animal to have. And you look at other shows like Go Buster, which had, a cheetah, a gorilla, and then they give the girl a rabbit. I guess it's sexism, I'm not quite sure, but it just kind of sticks out as being odd here. They give the Yellow Ranger a dump truck. I don't get that in the slightest, really nothing to say there. But they give the Pink Ranger what I presume, and what everybody else has stated as, a train. We just came off an entire series based on trains. So why is the very next season having a character with a train as her main Zord? It may turn out to be something else, but I look at it, it looks like a train to me. I don't know what else it could go ahead and be. So it's just kind of odd that we spend an entire season doing train motifs and everything, and then the very next season, we're going to give them ninjas, and we give them another train. I don't get that. It doesn't... I don't understand why we're going back to trains again. And it's not that I don't like trains. Remember, I love trains. I like the Tokyo Mecha. But again, we have a humanoid ninja, two animals, one of which is mythological and based on a completely different mythology. And we have two vehicles, one of which is a repeat of something that we had in the previous season. So right now, I just don't particularly understand these choices for Zords. Now, what I do like is when they combine into the Megazord, and what you'll see on your left and on your right is the different combinations they can go ahead and make. What it seems from this is that you can interchange the center module and have a different type of Megazord altogether. On the left is with the Red Ranger's Zord in it, and on the right is with the Blue Ranger's Zord in it, so you have two different Megazords that are being combined. And what's really cool, and I've never seen this on any type of Zord, Mecha, Robot, anything, is that if you notice, each of them is kind of sitting like in a throne in the Megazord. Like, the other Zords form this giant chair with legs and an arm, and then you put the Red Ranger's Mecha Zord in the middle, and it turns into, you know, kind of an extension of himself, like he's sitting there piloting it from an armchair or something, which is really cool. And with the Blue Ranger Zord, it's the same thing. You know, it looks like the dragon is sitting there and controlling the rest of it. It's even kind of like hunched over to better accommodate the way that it's built, as opposed to sitting upright. So I think that's pretty cool, is that, you know, the dragon is, you know, the dragon's there, the Red Ranger Zord is there. It does not look apparent that the yellow, pink, or white Ranger Zords are able to go in the middle, but they also have auxiliary Zords, of which I don't have really good pictures to share with you, unfortunately. And once again, I'm kind of scratching my head about the auxiliary Zords. Now, the auxiliary Zords are an elephant and a UFO. Let me repeat that. An elephant and a UFO. Now, the thing about the elephant is, well, I mean, it's fine. The elephant is normal, that's okay. The only thing is it has the exact same color scheme as the Geki elephant from Geki Ranger, so I don't know why they're kind of repeating that same color with the exact same animal. Now, the designs don't look anywhere near the same, but I just find that peculiar. And, of course, the elephant sits in the chest and pilots itself, so, again, I like that. The UFO, and I'm just going to go on a brief aside because people always assume that UFO means some sort of extraterrestrial vehicle. UFO means unidentified flying object, which means, and not to get into semantics here, which means you don't know what it is until you identify it. So really, a UFO can be a kite, can be a drone, can be a commercial airplane, could be somebody falling out of a skyscraper. The point is, it's flying and you don't know what it is. But I find it odd that in Ninninger, they're going to equate UFO with alien immediately. When, I don't know, they just can't call it like alien spacecraft or something. And it makes me wonder, for a series that's going to be based on ninjas, if aliens are going to play a part in this. Are aliens going to be the bad guys? Are we going to have allies that are aliens? Because, again, a UFO, if they're trying to signify aliens and extraterrestrial life, then I want something to justify that within the series, other than saying, we made a new vehicle and it's an alien spaceship, here you go, or this is part of some ancient spaceship that we found and somehow it combines with the Zords. I'm just hoping that they'll have a reasonable and logical explanation for why a UFO is being tied into this ninja motif. Then again, I don't understand why European dragons and dump trucks are being tied into ninjas, but there we are. That's what we got. So the auxiliary Zords that we have right now, that's pretty cool. Again, it seems like, again, it's modularized, and much more than what we had Magi Ranger, we had the different horses, but only the Red Ranger Zord could fit in there. I kind of like the idea that multiple Rangers can use the cockpits, so it's kind of odd that the yellow, pink, and white don't have their own, but then again, they may get their own Zords as we go later in the series, their own Megazords, their own combinations, some new things will crop up, and maybe it'll be a little bit more interesting what we have. And the last thing I really kind of want to point out right here is what you're seeing at the top, because this is something that's really bothering me. I see where they're going with this, and frankly, it's just really annoying, and I'm getting sick and tired of it. And that is essentially what you're seeing is shurikens or ninja stars, whatever you want to call them, that are being utilized within the toys for their transformation. So you have the red shuriken, which is used for the Red Ranger to combine his Megazord, and the blue shuriken for the Blue Ranger and his Zord. What seems apparent from what I've seen is that the shurikens are also going to be used as their morphing devices, attach them to the swords and whatnot, and you could probably use them to call up other Zords, much in the same way Tokyuger puts the trains on the morpher, and then they can call the new trains by doing that. I assume that that's what they're going for. And what bothers me about this is they're going to have about, say, probably 100 of these ninja stars, maybe 20 of which will actually be packaged with the toys, and then you have to buy the 30 other ones separately, and about 40 of them are only going to be available in Japan, and you can't get them, and blah, blah, blah. I'm getting real sick and tired of this gotta catch 'em all mentality. It was fun for a while, but with both Gokaiger and Go Buster, the thing I really like about the Zord series is that they don't have that gotta catch 'em all mentality. I mean, they save that for the Ranger keys and whatnot, and Go Buster didn't have any of the collecting stuff, which was great. And I've talked about the collectible devices, and again, I just hate them, but the fact is, we're going back to more collectible devices, and they're tied into the actual Zords themselves, and also seem to be a separate entity from the Zords. Now, what I mean by that is, in ToQger, all the collectible items were the Zords themselves, which I think is the good thing. I don't want to have to always collect Ranger keys or Power Spheres or anything like that. I think the Zord itself is what you're trying to go ahead and collect. And frankly, I only stick to the Zords. Yes, I collected Ranger keys, but that's been more recent because, well, I got the bug. But as far as Zords are concerned, I don't like the idea of having to buy the Zords and then buy these interchangeable shurikens for whatever. I mean, I'm sure the red and blue shuriken will come packaged with the original Megazord, and it does seem that the auxiliary mech will transform into shurikens, but it just seems to me this is going to be another situation where they're going to have the Zords, and then you have to buy the shurikens separately. For those of you who collected Go-Onger, you'll know for a fact that when you buy the first Go-Onger Megazord, you had the red, blue, and yellow Zords, but only the red soul chip, and then you had to buy 2 peripherals to get the soul chips for the blue and yellow, meaning you had to go buy something you did not actually want to get the one thing that you did want. And of course, ToQger is guilty of the same thing. You have to buy the ToQger buckle to get the shield Resha, which, some people like, well, you don't really need that, but the Hyper Resha shows that, yeah, we do need the shield for the ultimate Ultra Zord, basically. So yeah, what we're getting is yet another collectible device here, and I'm not going to say it ruins the whole toy line for me, but it really bothers me that we have to keep doing that, but maybe they'll do something different with this. They'll make it a lot more interesting, a lot more fun to actually get it, and maybe they'll actually be widely available, so I don't have to keep going to foreign countries or going off international shipping to get those. But in any case, that's all I really have to go ahead and say about this again. Because we don't have story, because there isn't much to really talk about here, I do think that a brief examination of the Zords is in order, simply because, I think everybody really loves the Zords. That's the one thing people always want to see, because it's like, we want to see what they look like, and we want to see what their Zords are. Nobody really cares about the actors until later. Nobody cares about the villains until later. Nobody really cares about the story until the very last part, which I find odd that people just really aren't that concerned about what the story of the series is as opposed to the superficial elements. But again, I just talked for 20 minutes about Zords and toys. But so there we are, I guess. But that's all I really have for you guys. I'll talk more about Ninninger when we have the first episode, maybe do some vlogs on that and try and keep up with them for once. But I'll definitely give you my impressions of the series once it gets going. But right now, the Zords are okay, the suits look good, and that's about all there is to it. So I hope you guys enjoy me talking a little bit about Ninninger, so we'll see where the series goes from here. But in any case, I want to thank you for listening. Everybody have a good day, and the tavern is now closed.